Hi, I'm Sean, the Volunteer Coordinator for General Practice Alliance's Volunteer Passport. During the COVID pandemic, so many of us gave our time to help others. At the time, most of us didn't really label ourselves as volunteers. We just helped out those in need. Whether that was helping an elderly neighbour to get their shopping or having a Zoom call with people who didn't have anyone else to talk to during lockdown, we all dug deep to help others. After a while, the pandemic eased back and we went back to our lives knowing our friends and neighbours could get out and live their lives like usual. But the truth is, we never really stopped needing the help of everyday people. Sure, the news changed their headlines and we stopped hearing about the people that need the support of others, but they're still out there, still needing our help. But the army of pandemic volunteers slowly started to slip away and they returned to their everyday lives. Now today, for the most part, things feel like they were before the pandemic hit. But for some reason, volunteer numbers didn't go back to the pre-COVID levels, despite the pandemic creating a wave of new volunteers just a few years ago. So why? Well, the largest percentage of volunteers are aged between 65 and 74. That shouldn't come as too much of a surprise. As people retire, they look to find new passions and ways to feel fulfilled. But during the pandemic, the same group of people were told to stay indoors, isolate and avoid contact with others. The message was strong. We heard it again and again and it resonated with a lot of people. The problem is, it resonated a little too well. We're finding people aged 65 to 74 are still unsure about getting back out into their community. The number of people in this age are returning to volunteering and it still hasn't matched the pre-pandemic levels because of it. Now, that's not to say that everyone from the 65 to 74 age bracket stayed away. There's still plenty of volunteers out there who want to give back, like Olga. She goes out weekly to help at her local charity shop. So, a few weeks ago, I went to find out what convinced her to start volunteering and why she stuck with it. Hello Olga, thanks for talking to us. Can you tell us a bit about what volunteering is you do?
Oh, I volunteer in the local charity shop. It's in the village.
Yeah.
And I've been volunteering there for about 4 years now.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
good,
enjoy
good.
it.
So what is it that made you want to start volunteering?
I just enjoy helping charity work and helping my village.
Yeah, do you find that you feel good about yourself when you help out?
Oh yeah, when I help out, I feel good as though I've helped the local village.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It sort of
it
makes you
is.
feel a lot better about
Oh,
yourself
yes.
when you do these things.
Yeah, enjoy it.
Yeah,
I
that's
do.
great.
Yeah.
And then, did you volunteer during the pandemic, during the COVID pandemic, or did you stay at home and isolate?
Oh, I stayed at home and isolated. The shop was closed.
Okay.
So, yeah, everybody stayed at home then, all the volunteers.
Yeah, and did you
Yeah.
feel a little bit sort of apprehensive going back to volunteering, like going out into the community, or?
No, for the start I wore my mask, so that was a help.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then after a little while I took the mask off after 3 months.
Yeah, when it was
Yeah,
safe to do so.
That's right, yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great. Oh, well, I'm glad you got
Yeah.
back into volunteering. That's
Oh,
fantastic.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And then plenty of sanitisers at the shop, so that was handy.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah,
And would you recommend volunteering to other people, Olga?
Oh, I would, yeah, it's very nice and interesting. I enjoy it.
That's great.
Yeah,
Do you
go
find
there,
that you meet any people, or?
Oh yeah, everybody there is so friendly. The manager, he's nice as well, so friendly.
Ah, that's
yeah,
great.
it does. It
Lovely.
makes a lot of difference.
Ah, so it helps you get out and meet new people and
Oh,
feel
yeah.
good and.
Yeah, I feel nice to meet people and have a chat to the people.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
And do you find that you have time for volunteering? Or do you have a lot of time that you can give to volunteering?
Yeah, I do have a lot of time for volunteering. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, some days I don't do anything, so it's just nice to volunteer.
Ah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's lovely to hear. Olga makes some really interesting points. One of them really stands out. Giving back made her feel good. Nearly all of us have experienced the warm, fuzzy feeling of helping someone in need, whether that's holding the door open for someone who's struggling with their kids and shopping, or during the pandemic, where we helped our neighbours and friends. We went home afterwards and we felt happy and positive that we'd made a difference to people's lives. And we carried that feeling with us for a very long time. That's not a coincidence. When we do a good deed, we activate a part of our brain called the ventral striatum. It's the same part of the brain that makes us feel good when we indulge in a treat or find a 0 or a 5 at the end of a raffle ticket. Social psychologist Naomi Eisenberg recently conducted research, and she noted that activities such as enjoying a chocolate bar or winning a prize made people feel happy for a few minutes. So then she asked his research participants if they noticed a come down in a sense of feeling guilty after indulging in a selfish treat, and most of them did. Next, she repeated the same experiment, where she asked people to participate in volunteering instead. A much larger percentage of participants said they noticed that their happiness feeling lasted a lot longer the more they volunteered. So that feeling of guilt afterwards was nowhere to be found. Some participants even found that just looking back on their volunteering efforts helped to boost their feeling of happiness and well-being. So all of this takes us back to how do we fill that void left by the people in the 65 to 74 age range? And the simple answer is, if the rest of us gave volunteering a second chance, just like we did in the pandemic times, we could plug the hole left from the pandemic, feel happier in ourselves, and achieve a greater sense of well-being. It's already scientifically proven that volunteering makes you feel happy, and more importantly, that particular happiness isn't tied to a quick fix like indulging in a chocolate bar or ordering something else we don't really need online, but it's a sense of well-being that not only lasts, but can be referred back to at a later date. These are tough times. It's hard to find positive news and stories out there. So what better way to add a bit of happiness to your day than to make your own positive news and help others along the way? Speaking of the news, most of us can't really escape the headlines revolving around the cost of living crisis. Charities and non-profits in particular are struggling to make ends meet. And because of that, they're turning to volunteers to help them to keep offering vital services to the community, to our community. It's also a barrier that people list as a reason not to volunteer. Some interesting research might suggest that just maybe we're using our money to buy a little happiness in all the wrong ways. Going back to social psychologist Naomi Eisenberg, she conducted research that measured how subjects felt when they spent around £5 on themselves for 5 consecutive days versus if they spent the same amount of money on someone else for 5 days. The results probably surprised some of the participants, but they found their happiness decline more rapidly when they spent the money on themselves compared to when they spent the money on other people. Now, I'm not saying that we go out and give all our money to charity. We all need to live and indulge and reward ourselves now and then, but the happiness you get from helping others might just convince you to use that £5 in a different way than you'd originally intended. And the same holds true for giving our time. Focusing on ourselves is of course incredibly important, but what if we built helping others into our routine? The same theory applies to that too. The feeling of well-being we get when we give to others doesn't get old as quickly as doing something instantly gratifying for ourselves. At the end of the day, I hope I can leave you with an important message. Giving your time to others is proven to make you feel happier and improve your own well-being. Like so many other new things in life, it's taking the first step that's usually the hardest, or remembering why you started something in the first place. Many of us have built up a list of reasons why we can't get involved in volunteering right now, but I hope I've managed to show you something on that list should come second to making yourself feel happier. There's lots of ways you can get involved in volunteering. Volunteer Passport has over 30 providers who have volunteer opportunities that need filling. Or perhaps there's a cause or a charity that's dear to you, or you've helped you in the past. Even if it's picking up a can of beans and putting it in the food bank every now and then, getting involved in our community not only helps others, but also helps you. Thanks for listening.